You know, your Prophet did not even want to have his own sunnah written down. He did not think it was a ruling or tashri'ah upon Muslims. It was just something that he thought it was not supposed to be relayed or people follow. As a matter of fact, some of your own successors used to punish the people, those who narrated the prophetic traditions, and lock them up in prison. That's how bad it was. Can you believe it? No, I actually don't believe it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome back to Crossroads. I'm your host, Alaa, Elsaied, where we navigate all the misconceptions about Quran and Sunnah and everything else in between. To make sure that we understand, we walk on high. Raise your head up high, say, I am a Muslim. My name is still Muhammad, not Mo. My name is still Fatima, not Queen Latifah. And understand for those enemies of Islam where they come from and what their purpose of that. And you will be tested indeed. So let us at least have the ammunition and be able to go into the battlefield. So let's go into this shubha, this misconception, and understand what it means. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not want to have this his sunnah to be written down, his sunnah to be relayed upon, and all of these things that they mention. He says that they use this. لا تكتبوا عني ومن كتب عني غير القرآن فليمحوه. So understand that some of these narrations is that do not write anything what I say, except the Quran. And if you've written anything else other than the Quran, erase it. That's one of their things that they say. The second, they say some of the Sahaba, Ridwanullah Ajma'in, he said, they left the book except what the Quran is. They didn't write anything else except of that because that's all they needed. Number three, they said that the Khulafa al-Rashidin, the successors after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to hate narrating the traditions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as a matter of fact, they used to actually punish those and scare them off if you do right to so. These are three heavy ones. So let's talk about the first one, inshallah, how to finish it. First of all, these adillah, these proofs that they use are so silly, it is absolutely, I don't want to say hilarious to do so, but it's so hopelessly naive if they think that we believe that. That is the exact opposite of what happened. You will see the tadlis, the misconception, the deception, the lying will always be their friend. So if we go through the adillah, the proof of what Prophet Muhammad has done and what he said in the beginning, what he said in the end, did Umar ibn Khattab actually do that or not? How did Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was among those who actually mentioned lots of hadith? How did the Sahaba radiallahu anhu emulate Prophet in the best of way? They wanted to be like our Prophet in so many ways, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How could that any logic person would even think that this misconception will even come cross to any person that has an iota of an intellect to be able to understand this? Number one, they say that the book of the hadith, it is not written down, only they wrote the Quran al-Kareem. This is haqq yurud bihi batil. This is there's specific truth in it, but the majority of it is false. And that's what tadlis is, the conception and misconception and deception is all about. And some of them hide among the majority of what the scholars say. They hide that. They only cut and paste. They tell you some of it and they leave everything else out of it. So they say that there's only one masdar, one of Quran, and I don't need the second one of the tashri'ah. We talked about that enough. But we don't now want to talk about this inshallah. But what is the reason when the Sahaba Ridwanullah Ajma'in, they were actually commanded to do so and were not? Quran was restricted to the time it was revealed upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu by Jibreel alayhi salam. But over 23 years, it was very difficult for everyone to write everything else down. As a matter of fact, some of the scholars, even some of the Sahaba used to actually take turns. I will go this day, you go to that day. And that's the proof that they will make sure that they won't miss anything else, because I can't be with them 24/7. So they would take turns to do so. And it's accordingly from what it had happened, it is different than what they claim. It is not what they actually accuse us of. But if they say that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade everyone to write down the sunnah, it says batil, falsehood. First, the hadith رواه مسلم عن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه في قول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تكتبوا عني ومن كتب عني غير القرآن فليمحوه. هذا حديث معلول. It is actually weak. It says أعله أمير المؤمنين. This is again in Bukhari, it says وغيره, but it says موقوف. موقوف meaning it stopped at the Sahaba. It did not go up to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is weak. We cannot take that as a hukm. And even if you take that case, we take about the in the way that they say that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade hadith al-nahi. He said they did not indicate to the other hadith. There's plenty where he told them to write it down. So you see how they actually conceive or misconceive people, and the deception and the lying is with one of the things, the risk ability, the risk credentials. And I can't listen to you anymore because you're lying to me. You're obviously cutting and paste. So in that case, إن الله حبس عن مكة القتل أو فيه الشك. Bukhari, from the Bukhari says, he said when Prophet Muhammad finished the khutbah, a man came from Ahl al-Yaman. He says, اكتب لي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says, write for me. He says, اكتبوا لأبي شاه. He says, write it for him. So Prophet Muhammad commanded people to write, then the man for come from Yemen. It says, وما روى أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه وارضاه, is ما كان أحد أعلم بحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مني. No one knew more than me, Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه وارضاه. And Aisha رضي الله عنها narrated. There were so many other scholars. وما روى ذلك عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما. And it talks about the Sahaba that they used to narrate the hadith of Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم all the time. So if that's the case, if that it cannot be the truth, what they're telling you, that is falsehood, and that's exactly what they want to do. And again, among others, in "Tuni bi kitabin aktub lakum fi qitam la tad'uhu ba'di." He says la tadullu ba'di. He says this is exactly what Prophet Muhammad said. Bring me a book that I'll write to you. Wajtahad al-ulama. The scholar said this is a hadith. Is his the one that he said right is much more than he said it wasn't. And one of the reasons, number one, he says this is min al-mansukh mis sunnah bis sunnah. That means there is nasikh and mansukh in the Quran, there's abrogated. There's an abrogation in the Sunnah also. So in the beginning, maybe he was concerned about the people write it down, and they would forget about the Quran. So he says, first let's firm the Quran, then we can do the Sunnah. The other, he says in Nahi, it was lam yakun mutlaqan. He did not say don't write, period. He says temporary. Number three, the companions did not want to do so because between the Jumhur of the ulama, it wasn't a narration between the same page, but you can write it down in different things. Says when the scholars said that the Umar ibn Khattab used to lock down the Abu Hurairah, that is a absolute lie, and that's exactly what exposes them is their absolute lie and how ignorant they were of the truth. May Allah subhanahu show the truth and follow it, and the falsehood and stay away from it. Ameen. Wa akhdaw alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallam ala alihi wa sahbihi wa tabi'in. Jazakumullah khairan wa assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.